Hi Tom.
This is Ildefons Lima, who holds the record for the most international appearances and goals for Andorra, and he has set me a challenge.
I challenge you to win the World Cup for Andorra. Come on!
Oh, okay. Nothing too difficult then, just winning the World Cup with the country ranked 171st in FIFA rankings. But I have a plan. Every country in Football Manager has a youth rating out of 200. The higher the number, the more likely they are to generate great wonder kids. Spain's youth rating is 145. FC Andorra are currently in Spain's 3rd division. Because the club is based in Spain, it uses Spain's youth rating, not Andorra's, which is handy because Andorra's youth rating is just 36. So the idea is to get FC Andorra up to La Liga and heavily invest in their youth and training facilities to create some wonder kids. And I've already completed step 1 by becoming the FC Andorra manager. Having just been relegated from Spain's 2nd division, we should be looking to get back promoted and win the title. So I've set us up in a 4-2-3-1 to make the most of our attacking talent as we aim to earn promotion this season. But as it turns out, the players are a level above most of the rest of the league, so winning games was incredibly easy. We routed most teams and easily won the league title to earn promotion to the 2nd division. Annoyingly though, we did lose one game, so we can't claim an unbeaten season. As for the youth intake, all but one player was Andorran. The issue is, none of them are very good yet. But that's okay, we're only in season 1. We've got a long time to go to win the World Cup, and if we're being realistic, it's going to take us 30, 40, maybe even 50 seasons to have a good enough crop of players to actually challenge winning the World Cup. Heading into season 2, goalkeeper Daniel Iverson was our star signing, as we look to stabilise in the 2nd division. But we did more than just stabilise. We were really good. Manu Nieto went on a tear, scoring 25 goals across the season and helping us to big wins over big hitters like Espanyol, Real Oviedo and Eibar. But in the end, we came up just short. We missed out on a playoff spot by a single point, but with a strong summer window, I reckon we can make it next season. It's just a shame no one was good enough in our youth intake to step up, and it might not improve anytime soon, as the board aren't keen on improving the youth facilities. Currently they're pretty solid for a 2nd division team, but if we want to win the World Cup, we need to max these out. So for season 3, we picked up Lucas Roman, a former Barcelona academy prospect, to help us score goals, as well as former Bristol City wingback Pedro Pereira to help us out at the back. Lucas Roman was certainly a useful addition, as he scored goals from the wing to help us win games. But it was Lautaro de Leon who was the main man scoring goals this season. The striker ended up with 34 league goals, as everything just went through him in the attack. But his goals didn't win us the title. Luckily, they did help us into 2nd place though, which is a promotion spot. And for a change, the board came to us and said they wanted to upgrade the club's youth facilities. Obviously I said yes, and we're now spending £2 million to upgrade them. So we're in La Liga heading into season 4, but sadly there are no Andorran players good enough to play in this division, apart from one. We've signed Andorran goalkeeper Iker Alvarez from Villarreal to be our first choice between the sticks. And I think we've made some other decent signings like Jose Marsa and Dijkstra in the back line, as well as Engelhardt and Popelek in the midfield. Despite this though, we are still regarded as favourites for relegation. And it turned out we were doing better than predicted, earning some impressive wins like a 3-1 home victory against Athletic Club, a 2-0 win against Sevilla, and a famous 2-0 victory against Barcelona, also at home. So in the end, we finish in a very respectable 11th place to maintain our La Liga status. But despite the board agreeing to improve our youth recruitment, they wouldn't agree to levelling up our youth training facilities. But then just a few months later, they came to me pretending it was their idea to improve our own youth facilities. I mean, as long as they do get improved right, I don't really care whose idea it was. Our top signing over summer was Raul Clement. The 19-year-old centre-back will start for us as we look to push up the league table. Raul was a goal-scoring centre-back, as he chipped in with goals in the early stages of the season, with a win over Levante and a draw away at Real Sociedad. But it was new striker Nikola Krstovic, who we bought from Lecce, who ended up as our top scorer this season, with an incredible 24 La Liga goals. If you want to know, Mbappe got the most goals with 46. But when you have a striker as informed as Krstovic, you're going to do well. Incredibly, we finished 4th in the table and have qualified for next season's Champions League. So within 5 seasons, we've made really good strides to developing great Andorran players at FC Andorra, but also domestically in Andorra too. The past season, Santa Coloma made it to the Conference League phase, although they did finish 35th out of 36 teams. And I'm about to promote the first Andorran regen to the first team. This is Rafael Ortega. He's not going to be a starter for us, but at 20 years old, he still has time to develop into a decent squad player. I have also signed Alfonso Costas from FC Santa Coloma in Andorra. He wasn't worth £1 million, but that's what I paid for him. So hopefully Santa Coloma can reinvest the money into developing more wonder kids at the club. In fact, I'm actually wearing an FC Santa Coloma shirt right now. This whole video has been inspired by Surprise Shirts, who sent me a mystery football shirt box, and inside was the 2023-24 third shirt of FC Santa Coloma. Genuinely, I don't know how they do it. How do they source shirts from countries that most people haven't even heard of before? You can head to their website by clicking the link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen, and after choosing your size, you can pick which type of box you want. Standard can be from any club or nation from around the world, whereas the FM or Career Mode editions only feature teams in the base games of Football Manager or FC 25. Then you can choose how obscure you want your club to be. Obviously FC Santa Coloma would be on the go for it end of the spectrum. And also make sure you include any teams or colours you don't want to get. And with Christmas just around the corner, this is the last minute present you need to get someone to completely make their Christmas day. To guarantee delivery before Christmas, make sure you put your order in before 12 PM on December 20th and use code TOM15 for 15% off. The biggest discount I've ever been able to get you guys with Surprise Shirts. The Christmas guarantee is UK only. Plus, someone who orders using code TomFM15 for that 15% discount will get an FC Andorra shirt as well, the team we've been managing in this video. So get yourself a surprise shirt from the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen right now. I'm planning on spending the £64 million we raised by selling players over summer on surprise shirts. I did try to replace a lot of our lost players, but a few of them might need a few years to develop, and it showed this season. The Champions League was tough. When we were losing games to the likes of Lugano and Slavia Prague, we were never going to beat teams like Manchester United and Inter Milan. We crashed out of the league phase without a single win. And the league also wasn't as good as it was last season. Nikola Krstovic was still our top scorer, but he didn't hit the heights that he got to last season. So as a result, we only finished in 7th place. Meaning we're in next season's Conference League. In Season 7, we're promoting another youngster. This is Tom Dumas, who's had a couple of loan spells in the 2nd division, and I think could make the step up. But I reckon summer signing Samuel Vignato will be able to better connect our attack as we look to get ourselves back in the Champions League. We absolutely battered everyone in the league phase, beating Genk, Vilnius, Zurich, AEK, Kashim Pasha and Skendia, with new boy Vignato scoring in 3 of the 6 games. This means we finish on top of the league phase table. Shout out to Santa Coloma for also making it to the knockout rounds. This is progress. In the round of 16, we beat Panathinaikos 6-3 on aggregate to make it to the quarterfinals, where it looked like things were about to fall apart. Hammarby beat us 2-0 in the first leg, but in the second leg, we came back and won 4-1 to just sneak through as 4-3 aggregate winners. So now our attention turns to winning the competition as we face Genk in the semi-finals. And things weren't looking good for us in Belgium when we went 2-0 down within the first 16 minutes of the match. But we were handed a lifeline when Genk were given a straight red card 21 minutes into the match. As a result, we were able to score twice in the second half to get ourselves back on level terms, heading into the second leg in Andorra. And here, we flexed our muscles, scoring 3 times to defeat the Belgians 5-3 on aggregate and make it to the Conference League final, where we have to beat Motherwell from Scotland. And Nikola Krstovic opened up the scoring 12 minutes into the game, but we couldn't extend the lead after that. So when Motherwell scored in the second half, I thought we were going to extra time. But late on, we managed to score an outrageous free kick to win the game 2-1 and claim the European Conference League title. All in all, not a bad season, especially as our 5th place in La Liga gets us back to the Champions League. To compete in the Champions League, we're going to need some extra firepower. So we signed Samuel Edozie on a free transfer for the left-hand side of the pitch. Sadly, we couldn't sign his brother, Fandab. But we didn't need his brother, because Samuel was getting the goals. He scored in a 4-0 win over Shakhtar Donetsk, a 5-2 victory against Inter Milan, which is an incredible result for us, but his goal against Barcelona couldn't stop them from beating us. Despite that, we still have made progress this season as we qualify for the knockout rounds, where we lost heavily to Lyon in the playoff rounds, but still, it's the furthest we've been in the Champions League. Edozie was also proving his worth in La Liga. He ended up as our top scorer this season with 25 goals to his name in all competitions, and was a major reason as to why we improved up to 4th in the table this time around to get another shot at the Champions League. And to make things even better, at the end of the season, we got our facilities improved to be maxed out, ticking off step number 3 of our plan. Now we just need some insanely good wonder kids to come through. The best we've got right now is Kike Alfonso, and he doesn't look like a world beater to me. So we're still having to rely on signing great players heading into season 9, and this season we've picked up 2 gems. Samson Beidou is a solid defender and takes our defence to the next level, whereas Liam Delap is hopefully going to tear things up for us on the right wing, although neither of them really contributed in the Champions League, where we lost to Feyenoord, Inter Milan, Galatasaray and Real Madrid to get knocked out in the league phase. Not really ideal. But it meant we could focus on La Liga instead, and here is where Liam Delap came alive, being the inside forward we needed him to be, and as a result to his goals, we finished 3rd in the table, our highest finish yet. And our new youth facilities are delivering. Sergio Ferreira's attributes look really good for just 15 years old, so maybe he'll go on to one day be a star. To win La Liga, we're going to have to make up 19 points on Real Madrid and Barcelona. So we signed Leonardo Henrique, a 21-year-old Brazilian striker who looks elite. And he was superb, helping us get off to an incredible winning start, beating the likes of Cadiz, Villarreal and Granada. And when he couldn't score, Vignato could, as he got the winner in a huge 2-1 win over Real Madrid. However, we also kept slipping up, as we lost to Alaves, Valencia, Real Betis and Real Oviedo in the first half of the season. Real Madrid, on the other hand, just didn't slip up at all. So at the winter break, we find ourselves 7 points behind Madrid despite beating them. As for the Champions League, things also weren't great. We drew with Monaco, RB Salzburg, Copenhagen and Inter Milan. But thankfully, a big 2-1 win against Bayern Munich helped us qualify for the playoff rounds. In the first leg though, we lost 1-0 away at Porto, but we were able to turn it around back at our place, as 2 goals in the first 15 minutes of the game sealed a 2-1 aggregate win. Then in the round of 16, Liam Delap scored twice, once in each leg, to see us win the tie 4-2 and advance to the quarterfinals. We're up against Lyon, who knocked us out a few seasons ago, but this time we scored 3 penalties to defeat the French side 3-2 on aggregates. I will never have a bad word to say about a referee ever again. So incredibly, we made it to the semi-finals, where away from home, we beat Inter Milan 2-0, including a goal from another penalty, to give ourselves a huge chance of making the final. We scored first at home to give ourselves a huge lead, and all Inter could do is score once. So somehow, we've made the Champions League final. But we have to beat PSG, who have a star-studded lineup, which in the end was just too strong. Warren Zaire-Emery and Nuno Mendes both scored as the Parisians win back-to-back Champions League titles. And frustratingly, our Champions League run had an impact on our La Liga form. We lost to Real Madrid, which created a 10-point gap to them at the top, and losses to Sevilla, Valencia and Real Zaragoza meant we fell even further behind. In the end, we finished 14 points off the title, but I think we can be proud. Within 10 seasons, we've taken FC Andorra from the 3rd division of Spain to being title contenders in both La Liga and the Champions League. So for now, I feel like my work is done. What I'm going to do is go on holiday for 20, 30 years or so, and I'm going to come back when I think Andorra have got a team good enough to try and win the World Cup. The year is now 2086. Now, Andorra are only 35th ranked in the world, but they do have a starting 11 of very decent players. The depth, not so good, but the starting 11 is pretty good, and we'll talk about that shortly. I do want to quickly go over what's happened to FC Andorra in the last 50 years since we left. And they've maintained themselves in La Liga, never actually winning the title, but they have gone on to win a FIFA Club World Cup, 2 Europa Leagues, 4 Conference Leagues, as well as a Copa del Rey and a Spanish Super Cup. So they've never really managed to challenge for the title properly or really be a team making Champions League runs. But importantly, they have been able to keep their facilities pretty much maxed out, which does mean we've had a very good stream of young players coming through. But part of the reason I've decided to come back right now in 2086 is because FC Andorra have just won the Europa League in recent seasons, and it means they've been developing some decent players and are getting themselves in good positions. And the best domestic club in Andorra, FC Santa Coloma, got their shirt on, they are getting relatively far in European competitions. They've reached quite a few quarterfinals of the Conference League, for example. Never made a final of any competition, but they're doing pretty well in Europe at this stage. But the biggest reason I have come back right now is because the national team really is the best it's ever been. In terms of world rankings, this goes back over the last decade or so, and this is the highest they've been, up to 35th in the world, so they've had a big leap. They finally qualified for a World Cup in 2082, and they got to the quarterfinals, losing to Brazil. They've actually got them in the group stage right now in World Cup Group J for the upcoming World Cup. So I don't think there's been a better time for us to try and win the World Cup with Andorra. So now is the time. This is the moment. We have a stunning attack. Monaco's Gregory Wirtz is one of the best attackers in the world. On the other wing is his Monaco teammate, Robin Freudefond, who looks equally capable of scoring. But if neither of our wingers can get the ball in the back of the net, FC Andorra's Alfredo Pescador will certainly be able to. With 19 composure, nothing will faze him. In the midfield, we have a great ball winner in Cadiz's Lewis Machin, and he's there to protect the back line, which is maybe the weakest area of the team. But at 198 centimeters tall, Bayern Munich's Pablo Ballesta should be an absolute weapon for us from near post corners. Genuinely, I think the first team, set up in a 4-2-3-1, is good enough to win the World Cup. We're just going to run into issues if we start picking up lots of injuries and suspensions. The depth in this team maybe isn't that good. However, it was a substitute, David Hermoso, who earned us a famous 1-0 victory late on against Brazil in our opening game. And then against Croatia, another substitute, Ricardo Buil, earned us a 96th minute penalty, which Freudefond scored to beat Croatia 1-0. Luckily, the game against Iran was far simpler. Man Mountain Pablo Ballesta scored from a corner before Gregory Wirtz got his scoring underway to win the game 2-0. 3 wins from 3 games mean we comfortably top the group. In the second round, we're up against Ivory Coast, and this was our easiest game yet. Pescador scored an early goal to give us the lead, before Buil, who had earned a start, grabbed our second. The game was virtually all wrapped up by half-time when Gregory Wirtz scored just before the half-time whistle. The Africans did score late on, but it was only a consolation goal in what turned out to be a 3-1 victory. In the next round, we're up against Japan, who had more shots and possession than us, but the game's only goal went our way as we sneak through 1-0 winners. This means we now have to face Brazil again in the quarterfinals. But this time, we didn't have a great start, when Buil pushed over his man in the penalty area, giving Brazil a clear-cut penalty, which they scored. But not long after that, Freudefond got us a goal back, as he was unmarked at the far post. Daniel Vizcaino, playing in the place of the suspended Pescador, gave us the lead just before the half-time break. And then in the second half, Wirtz scored a low effort to beat the keeper and defeat the Brazilians 3-1 on the night. We're now in uncharted waters for Andorra, who have never made it to the World Cup semi-finals before, and now we have to play our big brother, Spain. In the early stages of the match, we looked the stronger of the two sides. but a wayward pass meant Spain could launch a counter-attack down the near side of the pitch. We couldn't get a tackle in, allowing Spain to cross the ball and put it in the back of the net. But just 5 minutes later, we put a clever ball into the channel from a free kick and scoring our own goal from a low cross. And 15 minutes after that, Spain switched off again, as we abused them on the near channel and scored another goal from a low cross. However, we have struggled to properly utilise Ballester from corners, as he failed to score from another chance. It would have been handy if he had though, because following the goal kick from his missed attempt, Spain were able to get up to the other end of the pitch and make it 2-2. We also failed to capitalise on a poor Spain clearance, which gave us a great chance to shoot, but we could only hit the post. As a result, Spain came up the other end of the pitch, worked the ball into the box, and took back the lead. And they almost got a fourth from a free kick, only to be denied by the woodwork. But deep into injury time, once again Spain were lax in the wide areas, giving us too much time and space to pick out a cross and score the equaliser just before the half-time break. What a first half, but we're going to need to be better at the back and more clinical going forwards. The second half was a lot tamer, with fewer chances for either side. But 62 minutes in, we crossed the ball, only for it to be cleared. But Pescado recycled it for centre mid Carrasco to Ballester's back in front. And then as I was making changes to take Ballester off the pitch, he only went and finally scored a header from a corner to give us a 2-goal lead. So with the clock ticking down, Spain ran out of time and chances, failing to hit the target from a set-piece routine, and when they did hit the target late on, our keeper made a wonderful save to maintain the lead. We win the game 5-3 and advance to the World Cup final, where we have a week to prepare for Argentina. This is a huge game for us. Over 60 years of preparation, and it all comes down to this one match. We started brightly, getting the ball out wide to fullback Barranco. Argentina, just like Spain, were giving him far too much space to pick out a cross for Pescado to score. So we tried to exploit them again down the near side. The cross went into the middle, and this time we just missed the target. But 34 minutes into the game, we weren't going to make the same mistakes again. When Wirtz made a run behind the defence, he kept the ball just about in play for Pescado to score his second. Sadly, Ballester couldn't make it 3 from a corner routine. As halftime approached, it felt like we were cruising, and a sublime ball through the heart of the Argentine defence found attacking midfielder Verraro, who powered his shot past the keeper, giving us an incredible 3-0 lead at halftime. But if anyone can come back, it's Argentina, and they scored their first 10 minutes into the second half. Whatever their manager said to them at halftime, they were able to nullify us, as we didn't have a single highlight. But neither did Argentina, as the clock ticked away and time ran out. We've just won Andorra the FIFA World Cup and completed the challenge set to us by Ildefons Lima, Andorra's record appearance holder and goal scorer. And a massive thank you to Surprise Shirts, because this video would not be possible without them. Make sure you visit their website linked in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen right now. There is another game that is totally free to play where you can build your dream team. I've started playing UFL, where you can pick any player you want and keep improving them until they're 99 overall. It also helps that it's insanely fun to play too. So watch this video on screen right now to get a taste of what you can do.